divorce is not first option, and I'll never dare tell someone divorce. It is another, oh my God, stressing process. It takes a toll on you, on the children, on everything. I went through there, and oh my God. But it was not one of the things I had in mind. There's a time I paid a professional counselor because I realized church was not helping. So I go to a professional counselor. I tell him like I've told you. Because they used to tell us, your marriage has no problem. There is no infidelity. Because actually, I could never point because there were those pointers, but I used not to pay attention. Yes, because everyone is waiting. Has he cheated? Has he had children? Wait, but it was a mental thing. You break down, suppressing how you feel. So when you talk to pastors, it will be okay. Don't worry. So I said, let me go for someone who is not a church person, who does not know us. So I pay this lady. She hears my story. She says, okay, can I invite the man? We make a schedule. The man comes. We sat for 2 hours. He didn't get a single word from him. Just like all the pastors and everyone had done. He would say, give me time. So this professional counselor said, okay, let's give him time. But I knew this has always been happening. So I said, since she's professional, maybe he'll respect that because this person didn't know both of us.
Yeah.
So I didn't have like a ground of, but there I have people who are supporting me. So we wait for the time, we wait. The next meeting arrives and he does not turn up. He calls him, he says, give me time.
Marriage is an institution that many people have gone in and they've thrived. Many people have gone in and they've come out. There are so many people that have gone in and they've died there. There are so many people that have gone in and they're not doing well. And there are others who are not yet in, and there are others who don't want to go in. So it's a complete mix when it comes to marriage. And today we want to have a candid conversation about marriage and sometimes what happens there. I have a guest with me who is willing to take us through her experience of marriage because she has gone through it. She has gone through a marriage that didn't work and now she's into a thriving one. So she's going to take us through her experience of it and how everything went so that you can learn one or two things. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us today. I hope this show will be a blessing to you and it will help you to become a better person. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with me Mrs. Mariam Namusabi Subuga. Hi Mariam.
Hi.
Good to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
How are you, Mariam?
I'm doing so well.
That is good. That it never looks on you. You're doing really, really well.
It's the grace of God.
We really thank God. So who's Mariam?
Oh my God. First and foremost, Mariam is a simple woman. She's a born-again Christian.
Yeah.
Yes, she loves Jesus. She's a preacher of the word.
Yeah.
She's a wife, a mother. I did a bachelor's in social sciences. I've done banking for so many years.
Yes.
I'm now in social work.
Yeah.
Mariam is a people person.
Yeah.
I am too much of, I love energy. I reach places. I want to sort things.
Yeah.
I'm that kind of person who wants to, when I reach, I see a mistake, I want to be the one to sort it.
Yeah.
So and I love Jesus. Like I preach the gospel everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that is good. So why are you very passionate about sharing your story?
Wow.
Because when I contacted you, you were very willing and very happy to, open up and share. So what really inspires you to share?
Wow. You see, just like you do this show, there's a reason why you started it.
Yeah.
Why I am so passionate about sharing my marriage story, the past marriage and the one I am in, it is because I realized so many people are in there and they are going through so much and they have no one to talk to.
Yeah.
They don't know where to go.
Yeah.
They are confused.
Yeah.
They feel like I have to stay in there, or I have to do whatever I have to do in order to make my marriage work. But the bottom line is, why I want to share is to put a place. I'm not an expert. To put a support system that even when you're going through something so hard, just know there are people who have been there and they went through it. They didn't die. They came out alive. So each time you're going through, maybe your marriage is not working out well, just know there is someone who has gone through the same thing. They died. Others managed to go over. So that's why we are on this show, Hope Against Hope, to let you know that you're not alone, first and foremost. And even secondly, to let you know that marriage is an institution by God. It is so beautiful. It is one of the best things that can happen to anyone. But it's the devil who doesn't like marriage. So for us to know who the enemy is and for us to know who is the author is very important. And the fact that I even grew up in a family where it was headed by a single mother. So for me, marriage is an opportunity. So I'm so passionate about it, and that's why I'm here to share with people to know.
What point, when did the marriage start? And at what point did you notice that something wasn't right?
Wow. I come from a family of 5 girls. We were raised by a single mother. My dad was a Haji, had so many wives. Actually, I never saw my dad at home, our dad at home. But my 2 other siblings, at least they experienced who our father is. But because he was polygamous, we were like, we never had him. So we grew up with my mom. She was a businesswoman dealing in second-hand clothes in different markets. So she would hardly be home because she had 5 girls to take care of. She had to look for school fees and all that. So at the age of 12, I started thinking, what is life where how is life when a father is in the home? I really wanted that. And I purposed in my life, I said, I'll get married. And when I get married, I'll make sure my marriage works. And I'm going to get married to one man who has 1 wife. Because I don't want to be like my mom. She has suffered. So all that is a commitment I made, not knowing it would really happen. So mom educates me up to university. And I think around senior 6, because I used to study from Kampala, but home was Jinja. There was a young man who used to see me. Me, I didn't know. So whenever I would go back to the village, they would say, the Kampala girls are back. So he tells me this after. So senior 6 back, when I go back home, he starts telling me how he wants me, but I was like, this young man, me, I'm going to get married to those ones who are educated at the university. I want doctors, those things. But he was so persistent. But remember, by then I was born again, but confused. You know that teenage age. Like you're beautiful. This one is seeing you like
confused. You're easily taken up.
So I finish senior 6. I go to university. I do my bachelor's. So in my second year, he really got serious. And all he used to tell me was, I want to marry you. You are the woman I'm going to get married to. And I was saying, this young man, why is he so confident like that? So he persists. I finish my degree, and he says, I'm going to marry you the moment you finish school. The moment you finish school. So actually, he even told me I am ready
to
marry. I said, how? I have the resources. So one time I go to visit him. I see the young man, he has everything in the house. I'm like, now this one I will not suffer.
The house had things.
Like those basics you want.
Struggling boys, these boys.
For him, he was working. He ended in senior 4. So the money he used to earn, he would buy himself chairs. You know those things which you need in a
when
house.
you enter home and it looks like it has a wife.
And more so, it was even his house. He had constructed it. So I said, now this one is a serious one.
Mm.
So my friends, as we were there, you know, when you're at campus, your friends are dating. Me,
Yeah.
I was seeing this one is more serious than the campus boys
Yeah.
who only have their beds and what?
Buckets.
And buckets and all. I hear buckets. So that like the persistence he had, and I was even dating one, and he used to tell me, even if you're dating that one, you're mine. But I never felt like he was my level, should I say, because we were senior 4 dropout. So that used to disturb me. But he was born again. So there were those 2 factors. He was committed and born again. And he was young. In fact, he's older than me 2 years. So I said, this one we shall make a life. So we start planning. So as I finish campus, I get a good job in Kampala. So I start working. And he tells me, when I marry you, you will not be in Kampala. You have to come to Jinja. He was staying in Jinja. We were neighbors, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I get out, in fact, the first thing he told me, we shall get married in November.
Which year was that?
That was 2005.
5, yeah.
Yes. He tells me, I'm going to marry you in November. So I rushed to tell my mom, Bana, the guy is serious. But I was like, okay, I was not contented. Something was there. Not my level, but I was these other things. And 2 weeks to our introduction, I told him, I don't love you very much. He said, no, you learn to love me. And that
told
gave
him
me-
that?
Yes. Because of the missing component of not being my level, that was what used to disturb me.
Deep down, you feel like
Yes.
there's that. You can't point to it, but you still feel not comfortable.
Yes.
Okay.
But remember, he had Jesus. He was ambitious. So those used to override this
Yeah.
other thing. So I said, it's okay.
Yeah.
So I go and tell my mom. My mom was excited. But after a few days, I tell her I'm quitting my job. He says, why? Because I'm getting married. Really? So she was really put down. So she wasn't happy about that. So we do the Kwanjula proper. I was a church girl. I used to minister in my church in Jinja of Pastor Kasango. I was an usher. So people flogged, like they gave me everything I needed for the wedding.
Yeah.
And everyone used to look at me and admire, Vanna, she's a silly. So even people came on my wedding to say, who is taking her? Because of the way I was committed to church. So we got everything. We had a really nice wedding. That's how we started our journey.
Yeah.
Yes, and we started, we were there, but he was too ambitious. He wanted to get so rich so quickly. And because of that, I started realizing we are pulling ropes when it comes to finances. For him, he wants to do things not my way, not his way. So we were
You didn't like someone who is ambitious.
too ambitious is the word. Like every money he would get, he will never bring it home. It will go back to the things he wants to do. And it was about him. It was about him. It was about him. Like we will never sit and discuss and plan together. Yes. So for me, I used to think, okay, we are going to come and say, now this is what I want to do. So we started having issues of not sitting together to plan. Yes. And him thinking, living like I can do it myself. Yes. So I give birth the first year. As I'm still there, 4 months, I am pregnant again. I give birth to another baby. So babies came also in quickly. We didn't bond. Yeah.
You didn't have time as a couple.
To understand each other. Like it was all about him coming in, getting out. Because of me questioning him, he started really hiding. So again, me, I'm seeing is being so discreet.
And he's not opening
He's
up.
not opening up.
On his plans.
Yes, remember I'd left my job, so I was jobless. I was depending on him.
Oh, yeah.
You see, so provision at home was not there.
So he better involves you in his plans
Yeah.
because for you sacrificed a lot. That was you. Okay.
I start seeing, okay, now I don't even have a job. So I tell him, you know what, let me begin a shop down here. I'd be selling juice. So I started selling juice, making water. And my mother was so discouraged. Said, my girl of a degree now is hawking juice. But people used to come and buy because of the way I used to do it. So it is there that I got a job, my first job. A person who used to come and take juice said, "But you look different from these other
Women who sell
Eh,
juice.
what is it?" I told him I have a degree. He said, "Okay, can I get you a job?" So he got me a job in an NGO. I was the administrative assistant. So life changed a bit,
Yeah.
but I was earning very small.
Yeah, yeah.
So my husband would wait for that salary
Yours.
to take care of the home since I am working.
I take his.
Now we reached a time and said, "Okay, for you do the developmental things, me I take care of the home."
Yeah, yeah.
So I did that for peace in the house. But I was earning like over 160, 80. So it could not do much.
Yeah.
So life
With
was
two
already-
kids.
with 2 kids.
Yeah.
Life was really hard. And I was just so discouraged. But in the middle there, because I was a believer, I would pray, I would go to church, thinking like, okay, maybe if we pray harder, things will get better. And surely God will provide.
Yeah, yeah.
He will provide. So it was a marriage of always wanting it to work, but expecting him to also deliver. So remember, I had this thing in me. If you bring 50, I also bring 50.
Yeah.
Yet marriage is supposed to be 100%. Come all.
Yeah, yeah.
So I expected him to do some things, and that is when I will also do. So it was complaining. If you're not doing this, I'm doing this. So that complaining also. And of course, for him, all he knew was, I am the man. Whatever I do is what I do. So the Kameza money used to be the same from the year I met him, even when I had kids, like too little, like surviving was hard. Really, really, I could say
Financially.
hard, yes. And I think around the 4th year in our marriage, God blessed us with money. We bought taxis, one taxi, he borrowed money. So he borrowed again, got another taxi, borrowed again, got another. So we had 4 and we were in debts. So those debts were too huge. So they constrained him. And I would keep on telling me, remember the word I told you, too ambitious? Let's go slow. We shall get there. So because of those debts, even there was a constraint on our relationship because he was always stressed about paying back
Money.
that debt. Yes. So that costed us a lot in that, because I was also saying I would not contribute on the developmental things. Remember, I'm also hustling to have the children in school. By then they were in school.
What are developmental things that don't include children's fees and
Building, those things of buying land.
investments?
When
When your bonds.
Yes.
When you're buying shares.
But for him it was about, let me buy the plot of land and start constructing. So meanwhile we buy land, we start constructing a house. Around the 6th year of our marriage, we had finished our first other house. And he tells me, God has told me to give it away. Me, I was thinking we are going to shift to our new house.
Oh.
That was the first devastating place for me. And I really cried to that for like a long time. And
He had spent 6 years building it.
okay, of course, from the time I met him, because on our wedding we saved some money and we bought land. So when we bought land, he started he said, I'm going to construct. So I would not know what was happening, but I just knew the house is there. I would not even go there.
Why? To go and see what your husband is doing.
He would tell me everything is okay. Those are the things which I'm telling you, they are the small mistakes we do as women.
Yeah.
You leave it all to him, and for you, you're here. So for me, I was concentrated on eating, school fees, dressing. You get.
Yeah.
So you do the other part, me, I'm here. So that was it. So he tells me, give out the house, and you're the one going to give it, and God has told me, give it to this one. So he gives me the paperwork and everything. The house is done. I go and check on the house. The house is good for us. I tell him, why are we giving it away? He says, God has said. Now I said, if God has said, why doesn't he speak to me? He said, God has said. So I gave out the house. I took the paperwork to church one time. That guy was an interpreter in the church we were praying in.
The one you were giving the house?
Yes. So I called him in front. There were instructions he gave me.
Your husband?
Himself, you call him, you do this. So I followed.
You called him in church? And to give him the...
house.
I thought you went and did it secretly.
No, he said we are supposed to do it openly
Why?
because that is what God told him.
Okay.
So I give that way the house, but I was hurt. But I said, if it's for the sake of the marriage, let me give it away. So that was the beginning of everything. Like, I was like, now there's nothing we shall do. What if I do this? Then God says again.
Yes.
So we were there. If I would say, let's take children to this school, he would think, remember I was more educated. He would think I am overriding. If he would, like, it was always an issue of inferiority complex and me even feeling you're sabotaging me. You get, yeah. So we were always like that.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I get another job in a bank and I was really earning well.
Yeah.
So that is when he really gave up on the family and I was solely taking care of everything.
What was he doing?
Developmental things.
Apart from the house, what else developmental came from the things he did?
From the things, he bought property somewhere. Then I think, actually, I don't know what the money used to do.
Why he paid debt for the taxis?
Those debts were too many. They were too, let me tell you, it was a lot of money on us. You would come home and just sit and be in one place for hours. It was so stressing. By the way, it really put him down, that financial thing, very much. So when I get that good job, I start earning well. He left me to do everything. I was working in a bank and I was a teller. So as a teller, you get tips.
Yes, yeah.
So because of the home, we were not getting along. I started making mistakes in the bank. There is a week I made a shortages, 3 shortages mounting to 1.6. And my boss called.
You think, you said because you were not doing well at home, you
Yes.
started making shortages. Why?
Yes.
Because of mental...
Yeah, because there was never peace at home. We were always arguing. He's quiet. So emotional abuse. He's very quiet. He used not to say anything. Even if you ask, he would be quiet. Now, who wants to talk to a quiet person?
I know.
So he withdrew, and me, I was seeking for answers. So the more I seek answers, the more I irritate him. You get?
And the more he keeps quiet.
Yes. So we were both struggling. So my boss asked me, that was around, I think, 2014. My boss asked me, what is it? There's a lot of change. I used to be a good performer. What is it? I tell him, what? Home. He said, what is the best thing? I said, maybe you give me a transfer. Maybe it will help. So they transfer me to Kampala. I was in Kampala for 2 years. And those 2 years, my kids were in Ginger.
With him.
And remember, then I got another 3rd baby.
Oh, yes.
So there were 3 now. So I left the maid and him in the house. I would come and work in Kampala, transport myself back to Ginger every weekend, leave Ginger Monday in the morning, come to Kampala.
So you would go to Ginger every weekend?
Yes.
And spend the whole week this side?
Yes. So I would be on phone instructing the maid, telling her what to do. But as I'm doing that, I'm doing everything. Buying food, educating, all that. So
but he's dropping the kids to school or something?
No, he's not present anywhere. So
but he would come home and sleep?
Yes, he would come home and sleep when he finds, like, he was not there, but there.
Okay.
So it was another very hard time for me, those 2 years, because I thought maybe if I step aside, he will want me. Then even me, I'm thinking, okay, me being aside, I'm going to appreciate him. So actually for me, it worked because I started realizing I need to go back to my home. So I asked, they took me back to Ginger.
When you got the transfer to come to Kampala, was he in agreement?
I just told him I'm leaving
You
to
informed?
go to Ginger. In fact, I informed him that is the word. I didn't ask for his opinion. So he was hurt. So he never knew where I stayed in Kampala. He never supported me. He was annoyed.
You people were you were detached generally?
Too much. We were, or even it is a small word. Yes. And it was because of the way we were thinking. Yes. I personally was thinking this, maybe I'm too much for him, and for him is, I don't know what he was thinking, but he keeps saying I didn't love him. And for me, I'm thinking he's not there for me and the children. And that was it. Yes. There was
He never came to Kampala to see you.
He never saw. And I used to, because remember I was in a bank, I used to leave the bank, like I would leave Ginger at 4 a.m. every Monday. So I would walk alone to go to where the taxis are. When I've left him in bed, when I've ironed, I leave everything intact for him for the whole week.
And he had a car?
We had 2 cars. We had a car, then we gave, I think because of the debts, we sold it at some point. So there was no car.
Okay.
So he would not even escort. So all those things were like, now even I'm suffering, he's not escort. Like I bring myself, take back myself.
And you're paying school fees.
So I really got tired. So I got tired, and in that process, I told my bosses, take me back. Because I was a good performer, they would listen to me. They took me back to gym. So they took me back. So when I went back, I thought things would become better, but they really got worse. They really got worse in terms of communication, in terms of planning, in terms of understanding each other, and in terms of taking responsibility of the home. So I got tired, I got weary as a woman, and I started thinking, okay, now I can be alone. Then he's also thinking, it is okay. So ours was like, you get.
No, you didn't each like yearn for each other to be together or something.
I really wanted, remember I made a vow, I want to be married and it has to work. That was always on my mind. So I would not even let anyone know what I was going through. Yes, because I wanted it to work so much.
You never opened up to anyone?
Apart from family. Yes. So there's a time we spent 9 months without eating at home. And
Repeat that?
9 months not
Without
eating, not even taking water.
How?
In the house. He would come home ready for sleeping, and in the morning he goes.
Or like eating with him?
Even us eating with us.
Everyone eats alone.
Not eating in the house.
You eat from outside?
He would come back when he's satisfied.
Okay.
So those are the emotional tortures. Like someone is not talking to you, is not eating your food, those things. Yes. So we were like that, but we tried to survive until when we sat down one time and said, but what are we in? He said, I'll leave. I said, when are you going? That was our question. He said, you're not even asking. I'm like, but when are you leaving? He said, very soon. Because remember, we are no longer nothing, not even marriage things, those
Intimacy.
things, nothing.
You are like single people.
We pass like this, even when you meet in that door.
But do you think, in your own analysis, are there things you feel you could have done better?
Yeah.
Like what?
One of the things is to deliver without expecting. Yes. Like I think I reached a time I reduced my expectations, but I was breaking still because I knew if we are all working, let's contribute. It's not me alone. But if you're not contributing, why are you not contributing? And someone is not ready to reveal. So for me, the expectations, maybe I would have put them down, but still I remained thinking, if you're the man, you're going to do this.
Yeah.
So number 2 is to give up. Because I reached a time when you said, when I told him it's okay, you can leave us, and he also said it is okay, I can go. I thought maybe he's going to go for a few times.
Wait a minute, before we go to the point he left. He woke up in the morning and said, I want to go.
Those were continuous conversations that led us to there.
What was the biggest trigger
of
him wanting to leave?
There was no peace in the home. Even me, that is why I left for 2 years and I would come back for 2 days at least. There was no peace, there was no communication, there was no intimacy, there was nothing.
When you could come for a week, you wouldn't call to hear your husband, to hear how the children slept.
And you would call, then the maid tells you, today daddy came back late and the children, we didn't have this. Then when you call him, he says, but you are there. Why are you asking? Leave me to be here. So like trying to connect, we used to try, but still we were not, you get. For him, it was about him. I'm sorry to say, his life was him. Even when we had children, it was about him. So because it was about him, anything to do with the kids, if it is raining, have you endeavored to take them to school? Because I reached a time I put them in a boarding school and I left the young one. So even the young one was a problem. So the maid was the mother, was the father when we were away.
So your children were raised by the maid?
For those 2 years when I was away. But I've always been with them. I've always been there. So the biggest trigger was when he really withdrew and gave up. But remember, all these things were there earlier, but I used to ignore them. His life was about him. And for me, I was thinking, let's work together as a family. And he was not interested. So we end up being in a place where I can live without you.
So he wakes up and says,
hey, I'm going to go. Then I ask him when. Then he said, anytime. So I wait for any time. So that time a bit lagged, but there were no changes. So there will be constant reminders. When are you going? I was tired.
That wrong of you?
That's what I'm saying. Like I gave up because he was not changing. I said, it is okay, you can go.
Well, and by that time you were still renting?
No, we were in our house. Remember, we had our first house where I met him.
The one he gave out.
The one he gave out was another one we had constructed.
Oh, this is the one where he used to stay.
Where I met him.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So that is where we were. So he woke up one time and said, I'm going to go this week. So that week he left and he didn't go with anything. I came back home. I found everything everywhere, apart from I think a few shirts and maybe 2 trousers, over 1 trouser. And just it took like I can walk to Kampala one day. So me, I'm thinking he's going. Maybe he's like me, he's going to come. He didn't.
Really?
He didn't come back. But we were in touch. We would call and find out, where are you? What are you doing? I'm this side. He would not tell me where he stays. That is when I realized, this man has gone in now.
You thought he was joking?
Okay, I knew. Okay, I wanted them to go. We needed space actually because we were not tagging along totally, in mind, in spirit, and in body.
Now, just to take you a little bit, he wakes up and goes. Isn't there someone in his life who was a mutual friend to you, or someone that he could report to, or someone that you knew, if you called, knew about him?
Actually, we engaged our parents before he moved out. If I didn't tell you that, all these misunderstandings we used to have of the responsibility of all that, we engaged our parents, we engaged our pastors, yes, but they were not mounting to anything. I told you of a period where I didn't eat home for 9 months. That is when I engaged my mother-in-law, and my mother sat us down and said, if he's not eating, you eat food with your kids. Leave him, give him time. And they asked him, why are you not eating? He said, it is because she's complaining about buying food. So because she buys it, let her eat it.
Wow. That was a strong comment.
Yes. So that is when mother tells me, okay, you leave him. Has God given you money? Yes. Are you able to take care of your children? Yes. Start appreciating God for giving you money to take care of your home. Leave him. God will deal with him. Yes. So that family members knew. There's a time I wanted to deliver the 3rd born. I went to hospital with nothing. Like there was no contribution financially, materially, physically, nothing. He would just come home, sit, go home, like that. So like there was nothing like that. So it is my sisters who helped me even pay for that bill in the hospital. So when my mother said that, I made up my mind to now focus. So after 9 months, he resumes eating, and I would happily give him the food. So there were those things we did to make it work. Like I engaged professional counselors. I tried to engage pastors. Then he left church, so pastors could
Where
not
he
reach
was,
him.
that church where he gave the house to the interpreter.
Mhm.
Why did
Yeah.
he leave the church?
He left the church because he believed maybe the pastor was not doing what he was doing. And that is when I also changed to where I went, because I was seeking for more knowledge and more for, you get satisfaction in the spirit. So like we would stop praying together as a family. Yes, we would leave him at home. I go with the kids to church. Yeah. So there was no meeting place.
So when he left,
Mm.
did it ever come to your understanding that you could have done something wrong?
Yes.
Now, just take us through that. What are some of those mistakes that you look back and say, I did this wrong and now you can do better?
What I can say, there are two things. A woman can make a home or break it by first the way you think.
Yeah.
Because I thought, and I used to know that my husband is fighting me in my way of life, because I am this person, I am a go-getter. So I used to feel like he does not believe in me because of the words he used to say. And
Was he like threatened by your aggressiveness
yes,
in life?
yes. First, because I'm more educated, there was always inferiority complex. Why are you there? What are you doing with this one? Why are you like this? You get. So those comments always to come in. And there are times I would tell him I want to do this, and he would tell me, like, he started driving me like, what did you dream? Like in the night you wake up, you tell him what you dreamt, then he interprets for you, then he tells you, I am you. God gave me in your palms. I'm the one who's going to help you in this world, no one else. Like he would play on my psyche and make me feel like without him I cannot do anything. You get salary, he tells you bring it all, I plan. Then you pay his debts, then again you have to take care of the home. So the mistake I did, number one, is to give up. And number two, as I said, expecting too much from him when he cannot deliver. Then him chasing, like the kids. When he left, the kids were like, finally. Like those things of not trying to cover him up, but when actually it's hurting you. And I think another mistake I did was to engage too much the family.
What do you mean?
Like letting the family people know what I was really going through. Yes. Yes. Mommy, this is what is happening. Oh, sorry. Like too much engaging of the family.
So you'd rather engage someone who is, like a mutual friend, but not a relative.
Okay, family is key, but again, not too much. Every little thing, every little thing, every little thing. For me, that is a very big lesson.
Yeah.
Yes. So like the more you tell them, the more they know him and the more they get tired of him. So the more he also goes tells his parents. So our parents got to know who we are. They got tired of us. You get. So that one also was a very huge mistake. Yes, engaging the family. Of course, they were very good support system, but again,
you don't want to tell them everything in your own home. Yeah, you don't have to do that. And also because they say that, once you open up like that to the family, once you people settle your things, you don't go back to tell them. For them, they keep looking at you.
The other picture. Yes. So they have the other picture of him, and that is the picture you cannot change.
Yeah.
Yes. And even him, of course, the mother-in-law loves me really up to now. She's really, really my good friend. So for me, I kept up the appearance, but at the end of the day, I was costed. Yes.
Wow. Now, that's a very long story. I know it's a long marriage. You cannot finish it. But now I want us to go to the divorce process. And what steps did you take? And at what point did you make up your mind to go for it? because many people separate. Many people leave their homes, husbands leave, and they come back and reconcile things. I mean, divorce is usually the last option after reconciliation has failed. Yeah, after trying to make up, things has failed. At what point for you did you feel that all your options are now exhausted?
Okay. Thank you very much. That is key. Divorce is not first option, and I will never dare tell someone divorce. It is another, oh my God, stressing process. It takes a toll on you, on the children, on everything. I went through there, and oh my God, but it was not one of the things I had in mind. All I knew, because one, I engaged my family, as I told you. Two, I engaged my pastors. On several occasions, they invited us for meetings, and my husband would never turn up. He would never want. He didn't have a friend I would talk to. All the friends you would see him with, they say, for us, we don't know anything about him. I engaged the mother, his mother, because he has a mother. The mother would try to talk to him, but he would never meet together with us. He would always dodge those meetings. And when they ask him, why are you not coming? He says, give me time. So we used to give him time to find out, how can you work this out? If it is a mental thing, how do people come together to work together? There's a time I paid a professional counselor because I realized church was not helping. So I go to a professional counselor. I tell him like I've told you, because they used to tell us, your marriage has no problem. There is no infidelity. Because actually, I could never point because there were those pointers, but I used not to pay attention. Yes, because everyone is waiting. Has he cheated? Has he had children? Wait, but it was a mental thing. You break down, suppressing how you feel. So when you talk to pastors, it will be okay. Don't worry. So I said, let me go for someone who is not a church person, who does not know us. So I pay this lady. She hears my story. She says, okay, can I invite the man? We make a schedule. The man comes. We sat for 2 hours. He didn't get a single word from him. Just like all the pastors and everyone had done. He would say, give me time. So this professional counselor said, okay, let's give him time. But I knew this has always been happening. So I said, since she's professional, maybe he'll respect that, because this person didn't know both of us.
Yeah.
So I didn't have like a ground of, but there I have people who are supporting me. So we wait for the time. We wait. The next meeting arrives, and he does not turn up. He calls him. He says, give me time. So there was the last option I went for was the person who cancelled us into our wedding. So I said, let me go to this one. So I call him. I tell him, what is eating us? Even me, I don't know, but what can we do? So I explained to him. He calls us. We sit. He says, I need time. Remember, he has left home. Now time is passing.
And not willing to talk about
He does not want to talk. He's not willing to tell people why he cannot come back, why he's waiting, why we should wait, how long we should wait. Because everyone would ask him, how long do you want? Nothing. When are you coming? I don't know. How can we help you? No problem. So all those things were done. Then the last, before I went to divorce, was when I engaged one of the leaders in the fraternity of Christians in Ginger. So I said, maybe if this one calls him, he will come. He promised to come. We waited and sat. He never appeared. Wow. So I was torn. I was tired. Remember, you're doing all that, but you have the kids you're taking care of. Because when he left, he didn't stand back.
Wow. Thank you very much, Mariam. This conversation is very long. Yeah. So allow us have a very short break, and we'll come back with part 2, where you tell us exactly what happened with the divorce and how you managed to take up from there. So please watch out for part 2, where she will be continuing this story. Thank you very much.